Hey everyone, welcome back to the On The Bloc podcast. You've got myself, Ryan, content manager for Bloc Devoir, and today I'm very lucky to be joined by Noah. So, Noah, if you want to take it away and give a quick intro to yourself.
Sure. First off, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. This is honestly one of my first podcasts, so I'm excited to see what's in store. A little bit about me. My name is Noah. For those who are watching and have absolutely no idea who I am, I post content on TikTok, fashion, mostly fashion related. I've always been interested in fashion from as long as I can pretty much remember. I That passion of mine sort of spiraled into what I have now, which is my own brand, Eliora. We started in May of last year in 25 and have been slowly launching things periodically for seasons. Like, we just did our fall winter not too long ago, and we're now prepping for spring summer. So, yeah, our brand is fairly new, and I'm sort of behind the wheel trying to steer, a brand that, I've never been in the clothing brand space, so this is all very new to me. But I'm trying to navigate it to the best of my abilities. So yeah, I'm looking forward to our chat, and thank you for everyone who's tuning in.
Probably to start off, probably just goes back to what we just kind of said prior to starting the podcast was you're based in Ohio. Now, I know we said that like I found your content from your video from your New York vlog on YouTube, but if for a lot of people who may not know what Ohio's like, if you were to say like Ohio fashion or what
Man,
it was there inspiration from Ohio from you growing up, or have you taken inspiration from elsewhere?
it's a really good question. So like I would say throughout my fashion journey of like figuring, I think everyone goes through like this phase of like trying to figure out who they are in terms of fashion. Like I went through some ugly, ugly phases, man, where I was wearing the craziest stuff.
What's the worst?
Oh my gosh, I think it was like in 2000, it must have been like 2012, 2011, 2013 when I was big into like Nike basketball. So like Kevin Durant shoes, LeBron shoes, all of those. I think the worst thing that I ever tossed on was like a head to toe LeBron outfit with the matching shorts, the matching shirt, the matching shoes. They were the LeBron 10 Dunk Mans, if you know what those are.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I went through like these phases of just like being like super, I don't know, like just wearing whatever, whatever was like trendy and sort of just like trying to blend in with the trends. I went through the Supreme hype and did all of that, the Bape hype. Um, and honestly, a lot of people where I'm from they're not really exposed to that here in Ohio. It's like people are pretty, um, like they're pretty just reserved with what they wear. Like there's no one who's really stepping outside the box and wearing anything too crazy. And so like the older I got, the more I like kind of found myself in fashion, I suppose, and like felt more comfortable with like being inspired by certain things and going places and traveling and then, building outfits around that. Like I know we talked about New York, and I'll go to New York and it's one of my favorite places to go, but I'll go to New York and I'll come back to Ohio and I'll be inspired for months about new outfits that I can piece together. So, in terms of Ohio having any sort of inspiration on my style, it hasn't, but traveling and sort of being open to testing new things and letting those like new things that I find kind of shape my style has been really fun. But it also like I stick out sometimes like a sore thumb here, and it's like I'll go out with my friends and hang out or do whatever, and it's just like what's this guy doing? Like like what's this dude wearing? And to me that's just part of it's just part of being into fashion and being into some of the things that I like. But for me, it definitely at times makes me stick out.
Do you think that's harder more so when you're a bit younger to
Yeah,
when you're still like you're trying like you say you're trying to fit in and be like everybody else that you feel a bit more confident now that you're older, but like when you're a bit younger, or especially when you're at school, I guess even harder. Is that something you figured like now that you've got a bit older and a bit more mature that you maybe aren't too maybe bothered what other people think around you?
That's a great, yeah, that's a great standout. I think that going back to the Supreme thing, it's like um, a lot of those hype brands, and I don't want to speak for everybody, I can speak for myself, but I think I bought into a brand like that because it was heavily accepted just by a lot of people, and it was a way for me to express being fashionable with just the built-in sense of being accepted within that. It is definitely hard when you're young to like step out in an outfit that you personally feel good in because all it takes is like one person to say, dude, like, what are you wearing? And then like you get self-conscious about what you're wearing. And that's happened to me where I'm like, you put together an outfit and you feel really good about it, and then you go somewhere, you post a picture, or you see somebody and they're like, dude, those jeans or hey, that hoodie or whatever you're wearing, and they make like a smart comment about it. And then you're like, okay, let me just crawl back into my like safe shell of wearing what I'm comfortable in. Which it's definitely hindering, but over time, man, I've just been like, you just grow into, and I think it just comes with age. You just grow into what you're comfortable with, and you just kind of rock what you like. And if people don't like it, like whatever, they don't like it. And it's just inevitable. I think it's just like, for me, fashion's always been, especially as I get older, like a form of art. And someone might, if you look at an artist, they might spend 6 hours on a painting, and then they'll show it to a group of people, and 30% of the people will love that painting, and 70% of the people might hate it. But then someone might bid and pay $20,000 for that same painting. So it's just like, it's a cool way for me to just notice and realize that not everyone's going to like what you make, or not everyone's going to like what you wear, but there's going to be that one person or that group of people that really appreciate what you're doing, and the outfit that you have on.
And then to get like to go back to what we said about the inspiration from like being not well being from Ohio, but getting to visit places like New York and probably comparing like the style that maybe you're used to seeing from peers around you, where you're like, okay, maybe a sense that maybe you like I don't fit in kind of because I like something else. When you go to places like New York, does that make you feel more at home in a sense, or do you think it just exposes you to more things where you're like, okay, this is normal here because of how much mix of culture and like say people traveling from all over the world, and it's all in like a big sort of melting pot of a city that New York is. Does that make you feel like more inspired? Does it make you feel more comfortable, or do you think like you can take that and bring that with you back home?
Yeah, I think it's for me. It's a mix of both things. I think that when I go to big cities, New York, I definitely feel inspired. I mean, it's hard to go to a city like that and just be around all that energy and then to not be. I definitely when I'm in the city, like my outfits remain the same of what I would wear here. But any little bit of that, like, should I throw on this or should I throw on that? I usually go for like the louder, more outspoken piece or something that is maybe a little bit outside the box, even of something that I would wear here in Ohio. So yeah, I think that I definitely feel probably fashion wise more comfortable there just because it's like, you just sort of blend in. It's like you said, a mix of so many different cool cultures that are coming together. Honestly, that's what I really like about it. But yeah, it's just when you take that inspiration and bring it back here, it definitely fuels the fire for more outfit ideas, more brand ideas, more content ideas. And I really, really enjoy that piece about it. That's like one of my favorite parts about traveling, just in general.
Are there any sort of spots in New York that you really like to go shopping and that gives you inspiration for your brand? I
East
imagine there's quite a
Village?
lot.
Yeah, there's a ton. East Village is my favorite place to go. When I'm in the city, I was in New York in May of 25, and then we literally went back like 2 months later. In East Village is where I like to hang out. I think that there's a lot of cool. And if you're from New York and you're watching this, you're probably like, "Oh, dude, like you're you're not even giving it justice." But in my opinion, it's a cool mix between being like on Soho and then like being on like the outskirts where there isn't shopping and there isn't the cool bakeries and stuff like that. So I've found sort of like my quotes home in New York in East Village. But when I am shopping, I think, Soho is like what probably the majority of people would answer that question with. But there's a lot of cool shops between East Village and Soho that I personally love going to. And there's a lot that you can get inspired by, whether that's like a coffee shop that you pass by, or we were in New York and we went to like this little magazine shop and it was underground. Like it was super, super cool. And I walked in there and was like flipping through these magazines and you just never know what you're going to see. So that walk between East Village and Soho, it's a short walk, but we spent the majority of our trip literally traveling back and forth between those two areas and just walking into random places and trying the coffee shops and trying this or trying that because you never know what you're going to see, who you're going to meet, what you're going to experience. And for someone who is like me, who's like not used to that, it's really, really cool to be in the weeds of that and to just be able to appreciate like everything that you possibly can in such a small radius. It's super cool to me.
Yeah, like I think when I went June of last year,
Nice.
and
Just missed you.
that's just missed. Yeah, like I went when there was a crazy heat wave. I don't know how hot it was when you were there, but it was like I don't know what it is in Fahrenheit, but it was like 39 degrees Celsius. So that's like 80
Yeah,
more Fahrenheit, I want to say. And it was like insanely hot. But like you say, walking around Soho, it's so many amazing stores, like amazing things to get inspired by, and so many people. And like probably there isn't a better city in the world, probably to people watch and see, like,
absolutely.
okay, what people are wearing. Okay, what can I take inspiration from? And is being exposed to that like what made you want to start your brand? Like, or where did that come from? Like, is it something you've always wanted to do, have your own business, or is your love for fashion what drove it?
Yeah. My that's it's like my I guess desire to start a clothing like it's always been something that I've had sort of in like the back of my mind to do. Like even as a young kid, like I would print and draw on random T-shirts and try to sell them. There's been like a number of times where I've like been really close to launching a clothing brand, but then sort of like stepped away from it just because of how daunting it seemed. During COVID, I spent a lot of time, same thing, like designing T-shirts and drawing on T-shirts because I mean, all I had was free time at that time, and a lot of people did, like their brands did come from that time of COVID. Like you look at brands like Minted New York, um, and there's a few other ones like I like Sweet Hat Company, Not Yet Home. Like a lot of these brands that I look up to in a sense are brands that did have like a lot of their momentum come from COVID. And I look at that and I'm like, man, did I miss out on some of that opportunity when, TikTok was fresh and people were posting. Same with thing with like Instagram. Like, you think about those things, but yeah, no, like starting a brand was something that I always wanted to do. But not until like a year ago did I really feel like it was the right time for me, where things just kind of aligned and I found myself with more time to be able to do it. And I also felt myself just being in a place financially to do it because this is expensive. It's an expensive industry to start and to do. I finally felt like I had sort of like the knowledge and the resources to give it like my best shot. If I something that I told myself before was like if I'm gonna do and start a clothing brand, then I need to give it basically everything that I have. I don't want to step into it and sort of just give it 50%, because I think that to the fashion space, like it can get disrespectful in my opinion when people just come into the industry thinking that they know everything and that you can have a successful brand in a year or 2 years. So I came into it knowing that it takes time to build. Um, it takes time to gain audience, to get knowledge in the space, And so yeah, I think that things just aligned really well for me, and it kind of just made sense. It was a good time to just start.
And I guess where probably the main question people might ask is the name. Where does the name come from? Do you want to explain that?
Yeah, so the name of the brand is Eliora, which is on my, of course, hoodie, and then this is our daily core cap, which is probably our most notable piece that we've launched to date. But Elior means God is my light in Hebrew, and the reason behind the name was I really wanted to have the name be something that personally meant a lot for me and like had a lot of weight for myself. As I mentioned, like going into the brand, I knew of the like how hard it would be to start. So the last thing that I want to do was like name the brand something that I'm maybe in a phase with right now and I'm really enjoying, and I'll maybe phase that out in like 3 years. So that faith factor for me was something that I personally it means a lot to me. And as my life continues, it's pretty much the only thing that I can be certain right now that will continue to be the foundation of my life for like forever. And that's the same way that I view my brand is like it's not just a brand that I want to have for the next 2 or 3 years and then sell it, or 5 years and sell it. Like it's a brand that I want to grow and grow and grow for a super long time. And so that's like where my desire to have the name for my brand be derived from faith. But then as I've went into like forming the brand, it's been really cool to see like this faith element be like really distinct in everything that I do. Just decisions about launching clothes and the way that photo shoots work out and new pieces that we launch. Like if you're in business, you know that things never go to plan. They never go as you plan them to, whether that's like lead times for new pieces you're going to drop, or I have a crazy story about a photo shoot that we had planned for months and it just went totally sideways. But there's been many times where, like, even owning the brand up to this point, where I'm just like, it's been sort of for myself a reminder to be faithful in just everything that I'm doing. And so I'm really glad that I chose that as the name for the brand. It's been probably the best decision that I've made so far.
To kick start the brand, obviously finding the name and you know finding something that means something to you is incredibly important because obviously if you're trying to build something that one you want people to buy into, they're also buying into a bit of you as well. So like I think I think one of the things that I've really noticed is like your short form content on TikTok is fantastic. Like it's really like easy to resonate with you as a person, as a creator, and to see what what your style is and how that sort of translates into what you're trying to create. But how did you sort of go about what knowing what pieces you wanted to start with your brand? Like, what was the first product, and how did you go about finding suppliers? And I imagine things like Trump's tariffs or like
Man,
that's never like obviously
yeah.
that's impacts me in a different way. But how have things like that over the past couple of years sort of impacted how you've managed to start the brand and also continue with production?
Well, first of all, thank you for saying that about my content. I appreciate that. Um, yeah, with like figuring out different pieces that I wanted to launch, like you go like I think that I can speak for most brand owners when I say this is like you go into starting your brand wanting to produce the best of the best, do the best of the best. I think if you have a brand to some extent, you're like a visionary. Like you see something and you have like in your mind the exact way that it's going to work out, whether that be the quality of a piece, the way that a garment fits, a number of different things, a fabric blend, stuff like that. And so when I went into launching the brand, the core colors for the brand are just what I call an H blue, which is the color of the cap. So I wanted that to be sort of distinct throughout the brand in the way that I brand Eliora. And so our first collection was something very simple, but also speaks volume. It spoke volume to me, at least of the direction that I wanted to take the brand. So our first collection was a hoodie. It was 100% organic cotton. It's actually still on our site right now. And it was in our Aegis blue color. We did that same color on a t-shirt and on a pair of shorts, and then we launched these hats alongside of that. So it was what I called our core collection, because it spoke to the quality that I wanted to instill in the brand at an early entry point for us, which was 100% organic cotton t-shirts, hoodies, and shorts. The process to make those was done actually in Toronto, Canada. So everything was sourced sustainably, which is important for me. It's hard to do with low budget, if I'm being honest. Like you get some quotes from some of these companies, and it can get really discouraging really fast, especially when you have a vision for the direction that you want to take the brand, but you don't have like the dollars to support the vision. And so it's like for me, it was a juggle between finding products that I felt really comfortable having be a part of the brand and like speaking to the quality that I want to instill, with also like keeping in mind that this is a business and this is something that needs to make sense for me to be able to do. So yeah, that was how I went about finding my suppliers. As far as hats go, the one thing that I did that I'm really glad that I did is I found like 5 suppliers, and I had the structure of the hat like down to a T of exactly how I wanted it to fit. Like the side of the hat was really important to me, where it landed, just like the way that the bill's a little bit shorter, the construction, loose fit. Like those are all. I'm very, very, very picky with the way that garments fit, and so I had this look in my mind of exactly how I wanted like things to fit, especially our caps. Because I think a cap is like one of those things where if you throw on a cap and it fits like terribly, you're gonna either one return it, or two, it's never gonna see the light of day. And that just like wasn't my goal. I'm a hat guy. I love hats. I think that hats are a really cool way to elevate an outfit. And I was like, dude, if I'm gonna do a hat, I'm gonna do a hat, and it's gonna be sick. So yeah, I talked to like 5 different suppliers. I got one sample from 5 suppliers, and each sample got, each manufacturer got the same exact tech pack, same exact details. And it's crazy because like I wish I had those. I don't think that they're in my office, but each hat sample came back so different, to the point where it was night and day between all these suppliers. And I essentially just picked the one that fit the best, looked the best, and I felt the most comfortable in, which was this one. And that has been now one of our main suppliers for our headwear moving forward. And since this first collection, we've launched a number of different hats that our audience loves, our customers love, and it seems to be something that is a good entry point into our brand and allows people to sort of get exposure to us without spending a ton of money on a garment if they're not able to, or whatever have you. So the way that I found that was just through trial and error, and I don't think there's really an easier way to find suppliers unless you pay to be in groups. To maybe there's a supplier list or something like that, which I haven't done. But I literally just went, found them, and then sent them a tech pack that I literally made on Canva. So it wasn't anything crazy. It was just me
That
having sort of.
I was just gonna say, I was like a tech pack, I guess, is not. I guess you kind of have to have some kind of knowledge in design and understanding how the manufacturing process works. That how did you know about to do that? Was that from a lot of research, from that watching YouTube? Because I guess some people are just like, well, if it's almost like merch and it's like, okay, here's my logo, I want to stick it on a hat. You've got this kind of fit, just put my logo on it. But what made you think I need a tech pack? I want to start from scratch. I want my own shape. Where did that sort of come from?
That's a great question. My past experience with e-commerce was with Amazon. So like I had a few businesses prior to the clothing brand. One of them in which I still own and operate. But the my past experience would be we would launch products on Amazon, and a lot of those products that we would launch would be really design focused. So I had a lot of experience just over the years of dealing with suppliers making products, putting together a tech pack for how we want a product in general to be, the size of a product, the key features of the product, all those things. So to some extent, I was familiar just through past experience with creating a tech pack. But most people hear the word tech pack and they're just like, oh my gosh, it's got to be like a 50-page book of exactly what I want my product to be. And I've found that it's honestly easiest if it's like 1 or 2 pages, and it literally just outlines every single thing that you find important in the garment or piece that you're wanting to produce. So for me, it was just making sure that like the bill was the exact size, the length, like the dimensions of the key pieces of the hat. Our logo is 3D embroidered. So you're basically just like you're making it's more or less a presentation. You're presenting your product to the supplier, just with exactly what you want them to make. And when you think of it like that, it's a lot more intimidating because I know some people go into a clothing brand and they outsource the tech pack part, and I'm just like, oh, like for me, and maybe that makes sense eventually someday, but for me, like right now, like I think for most brand owners, they have such like a distinct vision of what they want to make. I think that if you hold that like close to your chest and you're the one who makes them, it makes the whole process just a little bit smoother because you're able to deliver something that it's exactly what you want, if that makes sense.
100%. And has what's been going on in the US with the tariffs, like you mentioned there, having stuff produced in Canada, has that, or has delivery and shipping or any of that sort of logistical side of it had an impact with what's been going on over the past 12 months?
Yeah, around like 4 months ago, 5 months ago, it was really bad. Bad to the point where I was getting, for a period of time, I was getting product delivered from Canada to my front door at my house. And the UPS guy showed up on a number of different times and was like, cut this check, it's a few $100 check. And that happened, a few different times where it's like you're getting products delivered and then the UPS guy is showing up with like what's more or less a check.
Tax.
Yeah, and he's like, "Yo, like sign this, and we're not giving you these products until you sign on the line and swipe your card." And so that was really discouraging at first too, because you think that, and this just goes back to you think you have a plan until you don't. Um, you think you have like your cost of goods at a landed price, and you think that you're like, "Hey, I know a hoodie costs me X, I know a cap costs me X." Or whatever that landed cost is in your head until you get a $300 to $400 bill from the UPS guy, and all of a sudden your costs go up, which is just unfortunate because then that just means that the cost of the customer goes up also. I think that that's how a lot of businesses and brands are handling the situation. Um, that was at the height of what I would consider the tariff issue. Now we still have issues occasionally, and we do ship worldwide. Um, and I'll occasionally have issues with like customs and having products either one get caught up in customs or two the fees are just astronomically high to the point where I'm just like, let's just return it. Like just return it back to me. Just refuse delivery and return it back. Um, and so it's unfortunate that we're running into these issues. They're a little bit better now, but it's like I definitely do want to still offer our products worldwide because to someone like you who was exposed to the brand and isn't in the States, I still want people to be able to wear what we do and wear what we produce. And there's been times where I even eat the full cost of whatever the tariff is just so that someone can get the garment, to where I'm like losing money on the cost of the sale just so that someone can get the hat that they wanted. And that's happened multiple different times. And so I'm trying to navigate the space the best that I can as the brand owner. It's definitely tricky and it can get really sticky, but I think it's just for now the territory that we live in. And until there's like a really stabilized final decision on the whole landscape of what this looks like, it's kind of just rolling with the punches and making the best of what you can with what you have.
And would you say that, like I know you mentioned the photo shoot briefly, would you say that that is one of the most challenging things that you've had as a brand owner, or does there anything else that sticks out of mind that you've gone, if I could do this again, I would do something completely differently? Has there been any situations like that?
Hmm. There's like honestly, man, there's rarely times where I look back and wish that things changed. Just because I am a true believer in however things happen, like they're supposed to happen that way. So I don't really look back and regret anything or wish that it would have went a different way because I either one, learn something from it, two, it deepens my faith, or three, things come out way better than I thought they ever would have. And so I guess if I were to look back and say there maybe I could have done better in an area, it would just be simply planning. Being better at coordinating photo shoots and just having everything be organized. Because when you're on set for a photo shoot, it's like you kind of are like, at least for me, I'm like in a sense out of body because there's so many different things going on where I'm like my head's in a million different places. I've got like short form content in the back of my mind. I've got products, the way they look on models, like in the present moment. But then I'm also like silently strategizing of like how I can piece the campaign clips together. So there's it's just like there's so many things that are going on. And as I'm doing more photo shoots and getting more in the weeds with it, I'm definitely learning. But there is like a huge learning curve with such a small production team. Like it's literally just me, my photographer, and like a handful of models. And that's pretty much like there's no one who's like fixing pieces or like looking at the way the garments look on the models, like that pretty much comes down to me. So yeah, it's definitely just that planning piece, I would say.
I guess that probably leads kind of well into my next question. So, touching on planning, what does the future of the brand look like? What's in your plans, short form, long term? Where do you see Eliora going? Where would you like it to be? Is there, a dream product you'd love to make? Is there a person you'd love to see wearing the brand? What does that look like for you?
Man, that's a great question. Long term, it's right now we're spending a lot of time doing what works, which is our hat, like our we're making a lot of hats. Um, we dabbled into the knitwear space and had knits made for our fall winter launch, which were 100% made in the U.S. Those are actually made in Brooklyn, New York, where we went to the factory and met the people, which was such a cool experience to actually go to a factory, pick out the colors.
That was in your video, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, yep. So we did that, and like that experience, man, was just like it was super cool to do. So I wanna spend more time really learning about just garments. Like we've got for it's funny because like right now, it's almost spring when we're recording this, but I'm working right now on like finalizing what our fall winter collection for 26 looks like. Jackets and maybe garments that I wouldn't feel as comfortable making a year ago. I'm starting to learn more about design, sort of trying to polish my knife in quotes in terms of just making pieces that I usually wouldn't have, and just like testing the boundaries to what I personally can make and produce. And so for the brand, it's going to be a lot of that. It's going to be doing what I think is true for us, which is, you know, our certain aesthetic, but then also applying that to jackets and different sort of knits and Henleys and stuff like that. We're working on for spring right now. Which I'm really excited. It's called our Athletics Club, which is my hoodie. And this was inspired by vintage running and vintage athletics. And so I'm starting to weave in to Eliora things that I really like cherish as far as just me as a person and sort of building that identity off of me. Like I really love basketball. I really love athletics. I really love like patterns and twills and different like tweed patterns. I think those are really cool, which is we made a tweed hat. Anyways, I'm just starting to weave in like my personal identity into the brand a little bit more. And I think that that's been really fun to do. So, yeah, we've got a ton of different things planned. A lot of the things, if I'm being honest with you, are way outside of my comfort zone. So I'm going to be really curious to see how people respond. Hopefully in a positive way. But you never know. It's just, I think that that's part of owning a brand is just taking risks and doing things that stretch the boundaries even for yourself a little bit. So that all those things will be coming. If there's one person or a group of people or that I would want to see the brand or see people wear the brand, my mind immediately goes to like athletes, just because I've grown up, looking at the tunnel fits for like the NBA. I don't know if you watch NBA at all, but like
Yeah, yeah,
I'm a huge NBA guy.
a little
So
bit.
like yeah, exactly. So like I'm on there all the time on Instagram, just like looking at who's wearing what. Like like Shea Gildress, well, he's really well dressed. Like J Dub, like a lot of the OKC players, they just toss fits, man. And it's like if I could get an athlete just to for myself as like a little kid seeing an athlete wear my clothes, I think would be really cool. Or anything that we make. But yeah, I would say just an NBA player. I mean, LeBron. If LeBron's watching, he can, holler and he can get a piece. But yeah, I don't know. It's cool to see anybody really wear your clothes, man. That's like
Has
the
that
sorry.
has that moment like happened like not to an NBA player level perspective yet, but have you ever got like an order through on your site and just been like, I can't believe that's going to wherever that might be in the world, and it's just like this is mind blowing. As what have you got any examples of that?
Every single time that I get an international order, my mind kind of is blown a little bit, just because it's like, how does little old me reach an audience that's essentially worldwide? I think that that's super cool. And honestly, just anybody who like can personally see wearing something that I make, like, or any time that someone tags me in a picture and they're wearing, whether it's a hat or a hoodie or a garment or whatever they're wearing from us, it always is just really cool and kind of just, I mean, that's why I'm doing and building what I'm trying to build, and so that people can also enjoy what I enjoy, and have fun or appreciate the garment just as much as I do. So yeah, and every single time that I see an international order come across my Shopify, I'm like, that is super cool. But honestly, just in general, for the first couple months of owning the brand, like we had barely any orders, and that's just the way that it goes. And so now to see any orders, like we're now at a point where our order cadence is dramatically increased from where we were, which is a blessing. But it's just always cool just to see that, man.
What would you see? What would you say is the sort of driver of that growth? Because I know like your short form content is really good. Do you think you having your own almost personal brand is driving people to find the brand, or do you do other things? Do you do paid ads? Do you do any like seeding, any gifting? Like what is it that you think's helped drive that growth in the brand?
Um, Personal brand is definitely a big avenue for us in terms of traffic. I want to believe. And it's a really cool way for me to just interact with the customers. So I think that that is probably the biggest form of just people, one, finding out about who we are, but then two, being able to be exposed to new releases or new pieces or the way that a piece fits. We also do a lot of seeding. We'll gift products to people. I have a lot of friends who are also TikTok creators and are in the fashion space. And so they're usually some of the people that I reach out to first and will send stuff to. So that's been extremely helpful, and I'm blessed to have them as like a online community. So that is another key component. I don't run any ads. Quite frankly, I'm just like I want to just do things that I'm good at. I have no idea how to run ads, and I've heard from other people this could be true, it might not be, that when you're running ads in the beginning as a brand, it can get really expensive, and um, your metrics kind of rely then on ads forever. And so I'm sort of scared to turn that on. But yeah, for us, it's just organic from my side, and then influencers.
Yeah, that's like my background. My day to day job is paid ads, so that was kind of that was kind of a leading question to as I'm always keen to understand. Like I work for an agency and I look after a massive American tech company. I won't say which, but look after their paid ads. So it's always interesting to see because, like, you can a lot of small brands start with ads, and it suddenly becomes a bottomless pit if you don't do it right. That you are chucking money away, and I think people find that like what you're doing is going the organic route and building a community tends to some people try to think if I just chuck money at this and chuck money at ads, my brand's going to grow exponentially. I'm
Right.
going to get a million sales. It's going to be great, but it doesn't always work out that way.
Mm-mm.
Obviously, and quite often doesn't. So to be able to grow at a pace where um, it's organic and that you can slowly, steady grow and try and test new things is probably a lot better as a smaller brand than it could either go one of two ways. I feel like when you run ads, especially if not done correctly or with the correct setup, it's very easy to all of a sudden be like you're pumping money into this thing and be like it better work because otherwise $1,000 $2,000 down on ads and then you're like what have I got to show for it? It's easily done. Um, what would you say is like the sort of biggest inspiration for you from a fashion perspective? Like, are there any brands specifically that you look up to and think, I really love what they do in terms of maybe it's pieces, maybe it's lookbooks, maybe it's um, types of garments they're able to get out. What are there anything that you look at and think, if I could really be a Ralph one day, like what does that sort of look like for you?
Yeah. Um, hmm. I think that from a fashion design and just timeless perspective, I mean, Ralph is just, you look at someone like what he's built and the pieces that he continues to make, and you're just like, it's hard for me to wrap my head around. And so he's, of course, a huge inspiration as far as just building something, building a brand, building a community, building a brand that people of all ages wear, and then also just feel really dedicated to wearing the brand. So I definitely look up to him. Ronnie Feig, the owner of Kith, has been an inspiration from like, dude, I was wearing Kith. They're celebrating their 15th anniversary of Kith this year. They started in 2011, and I want to say that I started getting hip to Kith in like 2012, 2013. And so I've always been a fan of Ronnie and just what he makes. Um, and I've followed the brand obviously up until now. So a lot of inspiration for the way that he shoots products in a really clean way. He does a lot of on white photography really well for like his lookbooks and the way that he does just his overall. If you look at Kith's website, and they have like a science behind they do product photography, and I can't even explain it. But like for those of you who know, like what I'm talking about. If you go on Kith, products just look better on Kith than they do on other websites, and I look up to the fact that he is that meticulous with what he's built to the point where he's now pouring all this time into making sure that even the smallest details of what he's doing is like polished and pure. And so I look
Did
to him a lot for that.
Did you see what he did this week with seeding them Air Forces?
I didn't see the Air
Have
Force
you seen
feed.
that?
No, no.
There was there was a guy. He's a big like sneaker collector on Twitter, and he's constantly for years.
Was it the hater?
Yeah, the hater
Okay.
guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's constantly been bashing Ronnie for it must be years, and Ronnie's actually seeded him the unreleased pair of Air Forces that are coming out in the spring collection, and I was like, that is such like when you've reached a level of where you can go and do something like that, you're like that's to send my biggest hater,
Yeah,
here's an
dude.
early release of a pair. That's so cool.
I mean, in terms of just branding, he's got it figured out. Like I know he gets a lot of hate for the amount of collaborations that he does. But I think that it's really cool because it's just he does a lot of what I talked about at the beginning of just like weaving his personal interest into the brand, like when he does collaborations with Marvel Like he did an A6 collaboration with Marvel and weaved in his interest with that into his brand. He does that with NBA with like their All Star weekends coming up for the NBA, and they're about to do like an All Star release that it pays tributes to like the 2001 All Star team, which to him probably means a lot because that's when he was probably heavily dedicated to a lot of the players in the city of New York and all of that in terms of NBA. So I think that's really cool that he's built a brand that weaves his personal interests in the same way that I would like to do with what I'm interested in. So yeah, it's just cool to see.
Probably just before we wrap up, I've got like a few almost quick fire questions.
Sure.
So
Okay.
we'll run through these. It's about five. Um, like I say, one word answer's fine, but if you want to explain them, some might need explaining. So
Okay. I'll
probably
try my best.
first one. Favorite creators at the moment? Anyone that you look for style inspiration, or people you really like, whether that be TikTok creators or on Instagram or in menswear in general.
Ooh, favorite creators. Oh man, this is tough. This is a tough one because there's so many people that I like. Like I have like a circle, like I mentioned, of friends who I love. Ali, I have a guy named Will who I really mess with. Um, like there's just I don't know their handles, like memorize their handles, but um, I'm on my TikTok. If you're following me on TikTok, go there and just look at the people who I engage with, and I would recommend following every single one of them.
Next question then. What is your favorite place to shop that isn't your own brand?
Oh, Ralph. I love Ralph. Love L. Bean. Love Gap. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Those are good ones.
What was the last piece of clothing that you picked up?
It was actually something that I was lucky enough to get sent somehow. But it was a pair of loafers that I was actually eyeing for like the last year from the brand Pompeii. And they reached out and sent a little care package, and it had a pair of brown leather suede upper loafers that are just immaculate. And yeah, that was my recent pickup. So sick.
That I love Pompeii. There's a pair of loafers that they had on sale that were like a hairy kind of
Hmm.
suede in like a browny taupey colour, but I haven't got. I think they've sold out now. And I was like over Christmas, I was like, do I buy them? Do I not? And I
Dude,
wish I had now. They're
they're
so
great.
good.
They're great. Yeah.
What's one item that's on your like dream pickup list? Like what is the thing that's like the grail that you've missed out on, or that's something you really want to get that you still haven't?
Oh man. I would probably say some sort of workwear inspired vintage like painter jacket. I know Ralph Lauren has a lot of like canvas chore jackets that he's done that are like from early early 90s. Um, those are really cool to me. There's a piece that I wish that I had just in general to have for my office would be a signed Kobe Bryant jersey, like just if we're talking garments. Um, so I'm working on acquiring that when it makes sense financially. But yeah, just like shoes, I love picking up shoes, and so I'm actually right now looking for like a good, unique shoe that I can wear in the spring and summer. I always like buying something new just for myself for the spring, so I'm looking for that.
Final question to finish on. Um, Maybe a controversial question, so it's you got to see how you're going to play this one. So, what's something that's in fashion that everyone else seems to like, or a trend, but it's just something that you're just like, I just can't get behind that.
Mm, it would probably be the okay. So like you know how a hoodie sometimes has like holes right here where you stick your thumb through it and it like creates like its own like pocket for your thumb. Those to me are just gross, and I can't personally like it's I think it's the way that it feels on my hand like to have like the hoodie come up to here and then have like your thumb covered it. You know, slip your. It's just I don't like those, and I also don't like the foot shoes where like your toes are separated. I've seen some people in like my fashion space get behind those, and I just can't do it.
What, like the tabbies, like Margiela tabbies, like those ones with like where the toes are like that. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, yeah, it's too much, man. It's way too. I can't do it.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. To be fair, like I I understand it from afar, but like for me, I'm like, nah, like I can't do it.
Hey, no hate.
Can't
If
do it.
that's what someone
Yeah.
wants to wear, awesome. More power to you. But my feet just couldn't do it.
And on that note, we'll wrap it up, Noah. So before we head off, thank you again for joining. Really great to chat with you. And before we wrap up, the floor is yours to plug. Where can people follow you and check out more?
Cool. Yeah. My TikTok is Noah Walters. Same thing with IG. Noah R Walters, I think, on IG. And Eliora, ElioraClothing.com. Um, yeah. Thanks for having me, Ryan. It was a pleasure. And if anybody watches and wants to connect, feel free to follow me on TikTok, follow me on Instagram, drop a comment, and yeah, look forward to it. So thanks again.
Amazing. Thank you, mate. Thanks for taking the time.
Cool. Thank you, brother.